Sarah Kerr.
Hi.
Thanks for joining my Wokingham. So you were at the library yesterday with the Drag Queen Story Hour event. Tell us what happened from your perspective.
So I went along with my children. I've got two boys and we went along to be part of the event. And it was basically Ada, who is the drag queen, who's written a story. I'm not going to spoil the plot, but it's effectively about stopping bullying, empathy, inclusivity, diversity, and it was read and performed in a pantomime style. Lots of, we're behind you, all of that kind of stuff. And the kids had a whale of a time. As a parent, if I didn't get involved, I was made to get involved in a pantomime style, so we were all part of it. And I was at the stage where I had tears in my eyes. I was laughing so hard. It was a brilliant event.
Okay, so you took your kids along. How old are your children, if you don't mind asking?
They're 9 and 12, so at the top end of the age that they were advertising at.
Okay.
But they had a whale of a time.
Okay, and so when you got there, what was the scene like when you got to the library?
So when I got there, there was a lot of people from the LGBTQ+ community welcoming us, and lots of nice music playing and really friendly. There was maybe 4 or 5 protesters who were on the side, didn't really say much. So going in, not a problem.
Okay.
Obviously we were there a little bit early. I don't know how many people had turned up by the time everyone else arrived, but that wasn't the case when we left.
And what happened when you left?
So when we left, there was a lot more protesters. Piers Corbyn was across the road with a megaphone, making some quite defamatory comments. As soon as we left, some protesters shouted out at my children, "You poor kids." And later on someone came up to me and in front of my children asked me why I was taking them to be groomed.
Wow. How did your children react to this?
They were fine about it. So I've taken my children to lots of Pride events before, and actually they do go to a lot of events where we are all about inclusivity and celebrating diversity. They've been to a Black Lives Matter event before, so they understand that there's hatred out there, and they were fine with it, but it's still unacceptable. They don't know what a groomer is and what grooming is. They haven't asked the question. I'm sure that's going to come up, and I don't know how I'm going to answer that, because that's not really a subject that we should really be exposing children to. I think it was just such a shame that they had a great time at an event, as did the other children. I mean, the noise coming from the kids in that room of excitement and joy was just brilliant. And they've learnt about empathy, as I say, diversity, inclusivity, and just kindness, and they came out and they learnt about hate. Wow.
What do you think's driving the protesters? What's your perspective on that?
I think it's misinformation. I think it's a lack of understanding and possibly fear, because they clearly don't know what's going on. All this is a pantomime reading of a story, and if they knew that, why would you protest? These aren't local people. These are people that are nationally organised, that are following around Ada, around the country, and protesting outside each of these libraries. The overwhelming support from the people of Wokingham has been enormous. It's been so lovely to see that counter-side, that showing of kindness and empathy and love for what's been going on, as opposed to this. It's a minority that are from out of town that have done this.
Yeah. Okay. So when I was there, I saw there were banners saying this is sexualising children. What do you feel about that?
I mean, firstly, do they honestly think that libraries up and down the country are going to be hiring a sexualised act for children? I mean, that's just ludicrous. There's nothing sexualised about it at all. If they actually went to one of these events, they'd see that. And I think we've got this problem that any person from the LGBTQ+ community are seen only in terms of their sexuality. And actually, they're people, they have families, they have lives and friends. Not everything about them is sexual. And there's this big fear amongst these people who are protesting that any member of the LGBTQ plus community is sexualising people. That's simply not the case. And I, for one, would not be taking my children to an event if there was any risk of that.
Okay. And just finally, how does an event like this come about? Do you know the background to how this has happened? Is it the council hire the act, or how does it work? Do you know?
So libraries are statutory services that get a small amount of funding from government to spend. Obviously, how each individual local authority spends that money is down to how it strategically decides that. So the libraries in Wokingham have an events budget to put on a number of events throughout the year for children and adults. Libraries are inclusive places, so they cover all sorts of things. So they put on events for Pride Month, for Windrush, for Black History Month. There's all sorts of things that they're putting on throughout the year, and this is just one of those events. I mean, as to who set up what, I can't say, but as the person that's has overall responsibility for libraries at the council, I personally don't get involved in these individual events. They have a strategic direction, and we want those events to be inclusive and to represent the diversity we have in our community. This is the first time I've had to get involved in an event like this to tackle some of the awful defamatory comments that have been made. Okay,
and finally, do you think the council should do this again?
Absolutely. Absolutely, and we've had so many people contact us saying, we're really sorry that we can't make this, but we would like the opportunity to come to an event like this in the future. So absolutely.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.